nature, things of that 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 nature.
And welcome into the Pot of That Nature post-game show here live with Inside Arkansas. I'm John Neighbors alongside Curtis Wilkerson and Andrew Ellis. And fellas, we have just witnessed the very end of game one for the Razorbacks. I don't know about you, but I think I'm changing my prediction 12-0. 12-0. That's what I'm thinking. This team has a chance to have a path to the playoff as they absolutely blitzkrieged UAPB by a final score of 70-0. That is a score we joked about, but it's not a joke. That's reality. Arkansas dominated this entire game.
Yeah, I mean, we did Inside Arkansas Live earlier today, and part of the title was Hogs by 90 with a question mark. And then they go out and get him by 70. And had they played the full amount of game time instead of cutting it to 10-minute quarters in the second half, it might have been 90-0. They could have done whatever they wanted to, name their score. That was, look, you cannot take a ton away from a game like this, but what you can take away is confidence. And they should definitely be walking away with plenty of that. A feel-good game, exactly what you need before you go play Oklahoma State. I think, unless I missed something, that they got out of there healthy. Just good vibes, man. Good vibes all around. Wasn't perfect, things to work on, but damn it, that was pretty impressive.
Yeah, there's things we could always nitpick, and we're going to. I mean, that's just what we do here. But I think it's fair to say that couldn't have gone better for Arkansas. I mean, particularly on the offensive side of the ball. I mean, you score every single time you touch the ball, school record, which they broke with ease. And like you said, Curtis, it felt like they could have just named their score. And so, look, we're going to try our best not to overreact. And we we knew this was a possibility. And we knew that Arkansas should handle this game very comfortably. But you'd much rather them do this than what we've seen in the past, where it's like they kind of get off to a slow start and kind of have to work their way before they finally make it look like it was more of a blowout than it was. I think I agree with you, what you guys said, man. They could have won this game by as many as they wanted to win by.
Yeah, there is a lot we're going to unpack here and talk about and get into, because I know that there's plenty of things that people want to know about. And there's no such thing as a perfect game, guys. Like, there's not. However, if you're an Arkansas Razorback football fan, you'd be hard-pressed to find a more perfect game for the reasons you mentioned, Curtis, staying healthy and everything, scoring on every single possession in this game. And not just scoring a field goal. We saw nothing but touchdowns. We saw a lot of rushing touchdowns. And if I'm not mistaken, by that final touchdown, they gave Arkansas 8 of their 10 touchdowns today were on the ground, which they scored 9 rushing touchdowns all season last year. So that's huge. But either way, that was about as good as you could ask. A shutout, offensive domination. You did what you were supposed to do. You went out and you crushed the soul of a lesser team, and you got out. I don't know how you can complain about anything in this game. Not to say that there weren't things that you could nitpick, but if you're a Razorback fan, we got to remember, a win like this doesn't mean anything for next week or the week after or whatever. But as far as this particular game and reaction, it's hard to have any negative things to say.
Yeah, for sure, man. I mean, when you are just completely, it was just so clear that Arkansas is superior at every single position on the field. It was so obvious right from the start. So you can only do one thing there, and that's dominate. And they did. Was impressed with the trenches. I mean, shoot, this time last year, we were sitting in War Memorial, and Arkansas couldn't gain a freaking yard on the ground. The holes were there, as they should be. The push was there. Taylor Green was not under any duress the entire day. Neither were the backups. So great work in the trenches. The defensive line, I thought, was dominant. UAP couldn't get anything going, as they shouldn't have. And there were a lot of individuals throughout the course of the game that I thought were really impressive, and guys that Arkansas is going to need to step up and be really good this year. And they got off to good starts. First impressions are everything, no matter who you're meeting. And I think they passed the test for sure.
I tell you guys, this ain't no Mickey Mouse program. It really ain't a Mickey Mouse program, and this ain't no Mickey Mouse offense. This is not last year's team. This is certainly not last year's offense. Does that mean this team is ready to compete right away in the SEC and they're about to just go on a run? No. And there's plenty more for this team to prove. But I think you can just tell by the way a team handles a test like this, if there's any type of uncertainty, if there's any type of shakiness. And look, if there is, questions that we need to be asking about this team, it's going to be found out at a later date. Now, they got a really big test next week. But I think, like we talked about coming into the game, not all blowouts are created equally. Not all FCS opponents are created equally. And like we said, I mean, this time last year, we were kind of, Arkansas, the final score was good. And so we were able to kind of be like, well, yeah, vanilla offense in the first half. How they figured it out, even though they only ran for 105 yards. There's no mental gymnastics you need to do with this one. You don't have to kind of look back and really sift through the footage and be like, oh, it really wasn't, it was a pretty good performance, right? Like, we can all agree that was a resounding, dominant, really strong performance. Again, it doesn't mean much moving forward, but I really am just impressed by the way that this team came out and the way they handled business. And frankly, it's because this Arkansas program doesn't usually give us that luxury of just knowing what they're going to do and just kind of showing up and passing the easy test with flying colors. They typically make this look a lot harder than they made it look tonight. We even saw By Petrino smile a little bit, which I thought was interesting there. And I think also the fact that the backups looked as good as they did, Malachi Singleton in particular, which I'm sure we'll dive into, but I felt like it was just a well-rounded team effort. And so, I mean, look, I'm not ready to change my season prediction and proclaim anything crazy, but I definitely think you can tell this is a different Razorback team than the one we watched last year, that we had the displeasure of watching last year. We'll see how it translates to everything else, but I don't know about you guys, but I feel like you just get a different vibe that this isn't some team that's going to have a bunch of questions and concerns that we're going to have to be biting our nails about every week.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if I'd go quite that far just yet. I think UAPB is just arguably the worst football team I've seen on a field. I mean, they were really, 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 really bad, and that can cover up a lot. So yeah, I mean, well, I agree that you did exactly what you needed to do and couldn't really ask for more. It certainly doesn't have me in a situation where I'm thinking, oh, this is the same last year's. Yeah, like, I'm sure they're going to be better than that, but they got some stuff to work on. No doubt about it.
Yeah. And we'll talk a lot about that. And I was going through it, guys. I got the box score. There's a lot of numbers in this box score, but correct me if I'm wrong. UAPB did not commit a turnover, right?
I don't think they did.
That is probably the craziest thing about this entire thing.
Yeah.
Like, you would have told me it was going to be 70-0. Again, I would have been like, haha, okay. But then it would have been like, oh man, there must have been some pick sixes. There must have been some fumbles. They didn't turn the ball over. And that is another crazy thing about it. Like, UAPB is not a good team, but they just, offensive line, defensive line for Arkansas, dominated. You got Jaquindon Jackson out there just throwing dudes to the ground. Taylon Green scaring the crap out of everybody, where he's like, oh, go out of bounds. No, I'm going to just run 108 yards on the field all the way across the other side to go get a touchdown. There was nothing that they could have done. You saw 3 quarterbacks play in this game for Arkansas. None of it had to do with injuries, which was great. I mean, there's just so much about this game where you don't want to overreact, and I'm not trying to overreact, but it's just that, look, even when I was feeling my best about this game, I still did not think they look as good and as crispiness as they were able to come out there with today.
Yeah, no, I mean, for sure. How good is Jaquindon Jackson, man?
Man,
it doesn't matter who he's out there against. He would have done probably exactly the same thing. I mean, like 12.5 yards per carry. Like, he can run over you. He can run by you. He can shake you. He can catch it out of the backfield. I mean, that dude is well-rounded. He's really, really good. And I feel a lot better about, some of the things we were talking about is could, I think, John, you even predicted it way back when, like, hey, Jaquindon Jackson's going to rush for 1,000 yards. He's going to outrush Rocket Sanders. And I'm buying that. That is Kool-Aid I will absolutely sip tonight, because that dude is something impressive. And just to stick on the theme of running backs for a second, I think Rodney Hill is really going to help this team a lot. I like that dude. He's just a completely different change of pace when you hand him the ball. I think he's going to be a weapon for him out of the backfield. I was kind of wondering, I don't know, like, really, the number 2 guy, I know R-Dub's hurt, but what's that going to look like? I like Rodney Hill, man. He's going to be a nice piece.
I definitely like him as a receiver. I thought that on that 2-minute drill, you saw him. They started. I think it was only 2 receptions, but it's like you saw that they had that in their back pocket. And speaking of how good the running backs look, we talked about the O-line and how all the quarterbacks had time to work. But I think that's the biggest difference between this year's season opener and last year's. Because last year's team, even though they got the job done and blew out Western Carolina, they didn't control the line of scrimmage at all. Now, of course, you're supposed to control the line of scrimmage. You're supposed to do what Arkansas did today, but I felt like that was the most encouraging part about this whole performance today. And really, like, again, it doesn't necessarily mean much moving forward, but it wouldn't have stunned me if there were a few more breakdowns, a few more false starts, a few more situations here and there where this O-line kind of had us looking a little closer, but we didn't even have to analyze any of that. I mean, and Marion Harris, shout out to him for just seamlessly going in there with that first team offense. And maybe it helped that Patrick Kudus missed so much time in fall camp, because it wasn't like this was a brand new group patched together. They played pretty solid, and again, they're going to face much stiffer tests. But I think that was really the most encouraging part to me, is that they just was business as usual for this offense. It seemed like they were firing on all cylinders for the most part, and all their mistakes offensively, which we're going to get to the elephant in the room eventually here, everyone. All the mistakes that Arkansas had offensively were self-inflicted for the most part.
Yeah. No, I 100%. You mentioned Marion Harris. Yeah. I mean, I thought he was kind of plug and play pretty seamlessly in there. He had a really key block on that first long touchdown run by Jaquindon Jackson, which was good to see. And I'll tell you who else I saw multiple times making some key blocks was Keyshawn Blackstock at right tackle. He had a nice block on the edge on Rodney Hill's touchdown run. And on that same run by Jackson, I look up and Blackstock's like 15 yards downfield, and he's pancaking a safety and opening the final lane there. So I was pretty impressed by him, even though I think he might have been the only lineman that got a holding penalty. I could be wrong. I know that he got one though, but man, yeah, he played well. I didn't notice the other guys that much, and that's probably a good thing, because in a lot of cases you don't, unless they're kind of screwing up. But yeah, pretty solid for the O-line for sure.
So we're going to go through some of the box score, some of the stats. We'll get to some of your comments, folks, in the chat. So if you want to jump in on it, we'll get to it. Don't worry. We got a lot of people that's diving in, and we appreciate everybody watching, and be sure to subscribe to Inside Arkansas. And we're also going to give grades out, which I don't even know why. I think it's going to be a 4.0 across the board for the most part. But either way, we'll do that here in a bit. But just looking at the box score itself, we mentioned Taylor Green, 16 of 23 for 229 yards, 2 touchdowns for him. 0 interceptions. You had Singleton, 8 for 10, 120 yards, no touchdowns or picks. KJ Jackson, 4 for 4 for 59 yards there. Now, this is something that you're going with the passing thing, guys. Maybe, I'll be honest, I don't ever look at this particular stat, so maybe you guys can correct me on it. But Arkansas completed 28 total passes to 14 different wide receivers or tight ends. Or I feel like that is you talk about sharing the rock. The leading receiver tonight was Isaac Teslaw with 3 catches for 53 yards, but Arkansas threw for 408. So if that doesn't tell you about the love that was getting spread to all the targets out there, that was a kind of a cool thing too, where it wasn't just like, and you didn't have Andrew Armstrong, but like you were sharing it to each and every player from every position all over the place. And I feel like that's exactly another thing you really like to see, is everybody getting a little bit of love on the receiving end.
Yeah, for sure. They definitely spread the wealth there. That was good to see. Was trying to see if anybody was missing from that receiver. Jaden Wilson didn't catch a pass.
Yeah, Jaden,
the only receiver on the roster. I mean, that was pretty solid work there for sure. And yeah, I mean, 28 or 37 passing between the 3 quarterbacks for it's 76%. That's really good. I thought Malachi Singleton looked the best of the bunch. Man, he was just so composed, man, calm, cool, and collected, just had command of the offense. I get it. Like, there wasn't any pressure on him. I forgot he didn't even play football his senior year until they mentioned it on the broadcast. It's like his first snaps in a couple years in live game action. That was really good. Yeah, I mean, it's 408 passing yard, 279 rushing. I mean, good Lord.
Yeah, if you had told me Arkansas wasn't going to run for 300 yards in this game, but they were going to score 70, I would have been like, wait, what? Like, how did that work? Because you see 70 points on the board, you just assume that it was handoff, 10-yard gain. But I really appreciated that they let these quarterbacks cook. Like, they didn't just bring in Malachi Singleton to handoff, chew the clock. And even with the game being shortened to 10-minute quarters, I kind of thought that might be the case, especially because Sam Pittman, we've always said he doesn't really like to run up the score. He doesn't like to be that guy who's going to like keep his foot on the gas when he doesn't need to. And frankly, like, I don't blame him for that, but I really appreciated that Petrino let these quarterbacks work. And you got to see Malachi Singleton he ran with the first team offense on his first possession there. So he was throwing to Luke Haz, throwing it to Sla, who's with the ones, had the first team offensive line out there. I thought that was a really cool moment for him to get to kind of be the guy. And you saw how quick and decisive and accurate he is, which is kind of what we've been hyping him up as, is this guy who he might not have the high level, physical traits of a guy like Taylon Green, definitely not the athleticism and the deep ball that he, or I guess Taylon struggled a little bit with the deep ball today, but the traits might not be the same, but just mentally he processes things so fast. And I also really liked what I saw out of KJ Jackson, who's a guy that I've just been really intrigued with dating back to the spring. So it's really good that it worked out where Arkansas was able to let him get in there. And I really thought when he entered the game, they'll definitely just have him hand off Neal. They were like, nope, run the offense, buddy. And he ran it. And it was encouraging to see all that.
Yeah, it was for sure. And don't worry, we see everybody in the chat. Trust me, we're going to talk about Taylon Green's accuracy issues.
Yep.
Like we didn't just miss that in the 70-0 game. It's definitely something we're going to discuss. But you got to lead with the good in a 70-0 win, right? Defensively, I liked a lot of what I saw. The defensive line was dominant. I'm still not entirely sold that they're deep enough across the defensive line. We'll see. Like after Kiwi Rose rotates in and June Kaj, but after that, it's like, I don't know. But man, the first 5 or 6 there looked pretty solid. Nico Davier was a menace out there. That right tackle for UAPB had nothing for my man Nico. He was all over the field. He's so athletic at that position, man. That was really good to see. The linebackers, I think what stood out to me the most about them, they're fast, man. Those guys are really fast. And Steven Dix, especially, so many times I would look up and I'd see a blur go across the screen. I'm like, who the hell is that? Steven Dix. That dude is flying around to the football. So yeah, I was really impressed with them. And it's kind of hard to say on the secondary because they weren't really tested. The only thing I noticed about the secondary was Jaheim Singletary finally got in the game. He got burned by the guy that was calling the secondary big and slow, held him, got the penalty, and then he was talking shit for like 3 plays after that. That's like the only thing I noticed.
Yeah, I mean, defensively, another guy that, again, because you got to go back and watch the replay and all that, but another guy was seeing Xavion Sori in a few of those moments. What really stood out to me, and even the times he didn't get a tackle, his pursuit was pretty incredible. Like, he was a guy that, you think about linebackers, they a lot of them have speed and everything, but there was one particular play that was early in the game in the first quarter where the UAPB it was like an outside run, and it looked like they had some room and some space. And the way that Xavion closed in quickly, again, I know it's UAPB, but it's like, it wasn't like he was hesitant or like, kind of staying and, I got to wait to see what he does. No, he just ran right at him and got the tackle there. So, like, that's the type of thing where you can tell he's relentless, he's fearless, he's not going to hesitate, like, oh no, what do I do? He's not waiting for him to make the move, the offensive player. He's going to go and just get you. So we'll see if that plays out a little bit more. But yeah, I was really impressed by the defense, which, again, you're winning 70-0, and the offense gets a lot of the love and praise and all that. But hey, I don't care who you are. Pitching a shutout in a college football game, no matter what. I think it's the first one since the huge shutout that everybody remembers in 2018 against Tulsa, where Andrew, who was the starting quarterback in that game?
Connor Nolan.
Yep.
He won the winningest quarterback in school history.
Yeah, it's hard to beat 100% when you're doing that, but still, that's just what's impressive about the defense is they didn't let up. They were relentless. Again, it wasn't perfect on every single play, but overall, again, it's like I liked what I saw. I liked what I saw from some of the guys, and even especially the defensive line being as dominant as they were.
Yeah, and I mean, we talked about the depth of that front seven, which I still think I agree with you, Curtis. Like that defensive line in particular, kind of would have liked to see maybe June Kaj get in the backfield a couple times, maybe Jafrard, maybe Quincy Rhodes, who I saw in there a little bit in the second half, and he was around the ball a little bit, but yeah, still trying to develop some of that depth. But what I really enjoyed about this is how many like guys I saw go into the game that I didn't necessarily expect. I mean, given the context of the game, you figured they were going to rotate in some guys, but like Kavion Henderson got to make his collegiate debut today. I saw Tevis Metcalf and Selvin Bridges, of course, who we really expected, but Bradley Shaw, how about him in there in the linebacking room? Like seeing all these guys get out there and get that experience and have some moments. I see someone in the chat mention how excited the coaching staff was to see Bradley Shaw get it back there for that big play in the backfield.
Yeah, man.
Like that kind of stuff's awesome, man. And like, it's a luxury that frankly, Arkansas doesn't always have, where even last year, like they only played backups for the last quarter and a half, maybe. And even then, like I think Jacoby Criswell only threw 2 passes or something like that. Like Arkansas really got quality reps for a lot of guys, and it went a lot better than it did the last time they played UAPB. And so, again, it's hard to tell this story without acknowledging how bad UAPB is. But man, I just thought it worked out perfectly for Arkansas. Like I can't imagine an opener going as well as that one went.
Well, yeah, for sure, man. And honestly, I was thinking about some of these bets and everything, and shout out to Jaden Johnson for ruining our special teams touchdown. This is right after he bit on that play and got burned for a touchdown, but the quarterback's foot was out of bounds. Then the very next play, he gets the block in the back on the punt return for a tutty. I'm like, come on, man. You're the extension of the coaching staff. What are we doing? But that was something there. We buried the lead. Matthew Shipley, kicker 1. Nope. Kyle Ramsey is him, man. It's just that's one thing that I was 100% wrong about, because that seems so obvious that anytime we were talking depth chart or anything else, I was like, nah, man, like Shipley's the guy. Relax. This ain't a competition. Wrong. My bad.
Like I was just, when he ran out there, I'm like, what is going on? Like, of all the things that, we talked about the depth chart and all that, but it was so funny, like seeing him go out there. And I mean, hey, you're perfect from the extra point, so kudos to you. But that immediately I thought of y'all as soon as that happened, because I'm like, I know they're just like, what? Like, are you kidding me? Like even the kicker's not safe as far as who's going to be starting. But and Arkansas did not punt a single time. That was actually one thing. I actually did want to see Arkansas punt. I know it's a weird thing, but I wanted to see, how it looked, because that poor UAPB punter, man, he was shankopotamus. And it wasn't going good for him. Yeah, he struggled. I mean, UAPB struggled in everything, but yeah, again, we'll get to some of your things, folks, but let's go ahead and talk about it, guys, because I know we got to bring it back down here a little bit. We got to talk a little bit about the negative. Taylen Green, and it's not something to where he's trash. People are saying, it's a quarterback competition, nothing like that. But let's be honest, there was some accuracy problems. That first play, he had him. Man, he had him. And he underthrew that ball horribly. Like, I mean, it was luckily the UAPB guy just couldn't catch it. I mean, it seemed like it was the easiest pick he'd ever try to get. But that was, if there was ever a concern, or there may be some others, but that was definitely something I wish that we could have seen a little bit better of, is the accuracy of Taylen Green.
Yeah, I mean, the thing about it, though, is that that's just kind of been, like, the book's been out on that for a couple years. And so you were hoping to see some improvements and some sharpening there, but the throws that he's struggled on throughout the course of his career, he struggled with tonight. And it was in a game where he was not under any pressure. There wasn't a single reason for him to feel under duress or rushed or anything. And he was just missing some throws there. The first quarter was pretty sloppy. He was behind guys. He was low. The second quarter, the first couple drives there, it looked like he really settled in. And so automatically people were saying, oh, he just had nerves or whatever. But in fairness, that final drive of his in the second half, he missed some pretty point blank throws there, underthrowing guys. He kept trying to go back to Broden 2 times in a row. And like, there were a couple passes there that should have been picked. There were a few balls there that there are at least 2 touchdown passes that were just throws he didn't make. And, when you're playing against teams that are going to be able to get into the backfield and pressure you and have you on the move, and they've got faster, more athletic, more talented secondaries, it's just something to keep an eye on. Now, at the end of the day, though, you look at it, 70% completions, no interceptions, 229 yards, and he ran the hell out of it. So from a box score standpoint, great, man. That's awesome. But if you're really trying to look for reasons to not drink the entire pitcher of Kool-Aid before this Oklahoma State game, he's got to clean some stuff up for sure.
Absolutely. And we were talking about receivers who, did or didn't do stuff. CJ Brown did not record his first career reception, although he should have had a touchdown on, I don't know, it was early in the second quarter. Like, it was real time with the first team offense. I thought CJ Brown was going to get his first career touchdown. Taylen just missed him right there. And yeah, I think Taylen showed you kind of the full spectrum, frankly, of what we've been seeing all offseason from him dating back to the spring. Cause that's what we've been saying is, like, we've seen him make just about every type of throw you can make. Like, it's not like a matter of, is he capable of doing this? But like you said, Curtis, it's been a consistent theme with his career where his accuracy past 10, 15 yards is just hit or miss usually. And there's been times in the spring where he's lit it up. I mean, in the spring game, he darted around the field no problem. Tonight, you kind of saw some of the different off-platform throws he can make. Like, there's a lot you can do with a guy like that at quarterback, but there's just times where he'll just miss a wide open guy. And part of that is collegiate quarterbacks just do this. I mean, KJ Jefferson, who everyone's been, watching for the past few years, he did that a lot. And he also had a little bit of a rough debut tonight for UCF, which I don't know. We're not going to get into that too much, but what is encouraging, I guess, if you're trying to look at the positive side of it, is it's not like Talon's incapable of making some of the throws that he missed tonight. And, I didn't have the turnover, although that first play definitely should have been picked off. I think it's just one of those things where I don't know if he needs the lights to be on. He needs it to be a different situation, because in the spring, leading up to the spring game, we were really concerned about his accuracy, and then he just lit it up when the lights came on. And so maybe against Oklahoma State, he'll be a little bit more locked in and maybe won't be as lazy, or maybe he got it all out of his system here. But I definitely don't think it's just something that came out of nowhere, and it was just something we can chalk up to pregame or first game jitters for a guy that is a 59% passer throughout his career. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I mean, I think he definitely found a groove there, and perhaps that'll be just kind of the push he needed moving forward. But certainly you're looking at things of what could Arkansas not get away with that they got away with tonight. A lot of that performance out of your quarterback in the first half, like, you got to get going a little bit quicker. You can't just come out there flat and miss some of those throws. Those windows are going to get tighter. It's only going to get more difficult. And so, 70% tonight, a little bit deceiving just because he rattled off like 7 or 8 completions there. But definitely moving forward, it's something to monitor. But like I said, you also saw the good side of it, the athleticism. And I feel like, he is in good command of the offense. He knows where to go with the ball, all those things. But the accuracy is just kind of the one missing piece there with Talon Green.
Yeah, and again, it's, the test is going to become Oklahoma State. I think we all know that. Like, we're going to see exactly, was this just a game jitters or just a coincidence, or is it going to be a constant issue? It's just goes back to the whole point, like you guys brought up, because of his completion percentage, which I know Bobby Petrino doesn't care about, but because of the completion percentage at Boise State, that's what it is. Because let's be honest, if he had completed 65% of his passes at Boise State and he had this game, we probably wouldn't even be really diving into it as much. We'd still talk about it because it is an issue, but it wouldn't be like, oh, well, it's just this. But because of that, it's kind of like this cloud over him where it's like, that's been an issue. It has been, because I don't care what Bobby Petrino says or not, but if you only complete 51% of your passes in college football, I don't care what school you're at or whatever, that's not good. That's not good. I don't care what offense it is or whatever. That's not good. So, but when you brought up his athleticism, Andrew, and some people said in the chat, and that's why it made me think of it, but that run he had where he looked like he was just going to go out of bounds. Maybe people thought he was, and then he just does a little juke move and runs across the field and gets in a touchdown. I am not saying that he's Matt Jones. I'm not saying that. But it is, to me, he was a unique, because Arkansas had dual threat quarterbacks like a KJ Jefferson obviously could run. Felipe Franks could run a little bit. Brandon Allen was an underrated runner. I think that if he needed to run, but you can tell Talon Green's a different type of running quarterback. Like, he has that gear to where, is he going to run it for 80 yards if he gets out in open space? Maybe, but the dude's got some serious speed and some serious wheels that could be a problem for opposing defenses too.
SEC defenses are going to be losing sleep preparing for Talon Green. The broadcast said that about 35 times. So.
They also kept saying that might be the best throw of the night. That might be the best throw of the night. They love saying that. Yeah, I don't know how much. I mean, I think SEC defenses are going to see some things that they can probably pinpoint. But I do think, he looked like a guy who had been dying to be a live ball carrier, because in practice, obviously in fall camp, doesn't really get to show off that running ability. He looked like he was having some fun out there, and hopefully it does. I mean, that touchdown run he had, I was like, oh God, he's about to take a horrible sack. Like, this is tough. But there you go. You live with the Houdini Act. You live and die by it. Yeah.
I mean, it's going to be a weapon, and they know that's a weapon. It's just, you got to stay upright, got to stay healthy. And also, let's be honest too, that little play that he had, you go out of bounds against SEC defenses when that happens. Do not try to do what he did, because there's going to be some safety that's just going to rock your world. and you're going to hurt yourself when you could have easily just gone out of bounds. I appreciate the effort, but you got to stay healthy. You got to stay healthy. You got to stay healthy. So that's huge.
I did notice, I had to pull this up. Ice Cold Mint Julep says they also said they loved War Memorial, so no credibility. They did say that. They were talking about how, this place is so cool. I absolutely love the design of the stadium. The backdrop is awesome. And listen, no shade, but it's the first game you've been to somewhere. I don't know, man.
First football stadium they've ever attended. They're like, whoa, this one.
Like, dude, who was on the call? Like, did you guys know their names?
I don't know who either one of those guys were.
Rocky something.
Rocky something.
One of the guys' name was Rocky for sure.
Oh, well, either way.
And you crew.
Yeah, I'd say, listen, I can't expect much. It's fine. It's totally fine. I will say another thing too, going back to what we were talking about, just from my perspective from watching there in the game. First off, hot as balls all day. I was dying, and a lot of people were too. I was even going to go out and talk to some fans and stuff. Nope. I was like, I can't even do that. I had to find shade. But then it got a little bit better. But either way, solid crowd for all things considered. It was a solid crowd. But when I was watching the game, and it was the first time when Arkansas kicked off to UAPB, and when I knew they were going to be in it for hurt, and I don't know if you guys saw this on TV, but every single kickoff, which got boomed through the uprights on some occasion, like they were crushing it. But there was the first kickoff, Arkansas, and I watched it. It was a touchback or fair catch, I guess it was what it was. But I would say at least four Razorbacks on special teams absolutely destroyed UAPB guys, like just ran through them. And Andreas Poski was one of them. And he did that every single time. He just, yeah. So I was just like, man, you could just tell they were just in another stratosphere of athleticism and everything. But there was a few things too that happened. I was talking to Curtis about this a little bit too, Andrew, and I can get your thought on it. The punt return for a touchdown penalty, but then they reviewed something. Did anybody know what they were reviewing in that?
Yes. So Satania let go of the ball very close to when he crossed the goal line. Now, obviously, the touchdown would have gotten called back anyway, but he like as soon as he crossed the goal line, let go of the ball. Gotcha. And so UAPB called for a review because they were like, if he did actually let go of the ball, we're going to decline the penalty because that would be, a touchback, their ball. They reviewed it, and he crossed the goal line, but I'm talking about as soon as he crossed the goal line, that ball left his hands. Like he almost pulled a Deshaun Jackson. And so that's what they were reviewing. And then they reviewed, it is actually a touchdown, so we'll just accept the penalty.
Okay. Yeah, just wanted to make sure on that because the referee was saying it was a touchdown. You can't, sometimes those things you can't really tell from the stadium.
Yeah, the crowd was like, yeah, touchdown.
Yeah. Also, I don't know.
Commentators were in a pretzel with that one too. They were like, whoa, what? It's like they did not know what was going on.
So again, we'll get to all your chats, folks. Just bear with us. But I wanted to also ask this because again, you get a different perspective there in the stadium. But there were apparently, I guess, like UAPB was supposed to be penalized for their uniforms. Something about Thursday night games in Little Rock. So apparently that was supposed to be a thing. And I guess, but Sam Pittman and Arkansas declined the penalties.
Yeah, as they should, and I'm glad they did. But yeah, you're not supposed to wear the contrasting unis, and so they were both in their darks or whatever, and so they were supposed to get assessed a 15-yard penalty at the beginning of both halves. And kudos to Sam for just saying, "Nah, man."
That's how you knew it was about to be an ass whipping when he just said, "No, we don't even want those 30 yards." Yeah, sure. If that was freaking Auburn, bro, they're like, "Give us that. You got more. Can we do it every quarter?"
Yeah, Golden Lions, keep your damn yards. It's fine.
Yeah. Okay, so I heard about that, and then again the lack of turnovers or something, but the 10-minute quarters in the second half, I'm a huge fan of, and like it's kind of unfortunate for UAPB because now that's like 2 years in a row that they played Arkansas, and they've had to have shortened quarters in the second half. Man, that's rough. That's just rough. But I'm glad that they agreed to it. I'm glad that it went out that way too.
I'm glad they did that too. I mean, had they not, like the game would probably still be going on.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. Unfortunately. All right. So before we get in the chat, guys, just anything that stood out to y'all that you wanted to see that you didn't, like anything that you're kind of hoping to see maybe a little bit more of, but you want to see more of, like just something that again, because everything was so positive in this game. What was something you wanted to see that maybe you didn't get a chance to see today?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know, like their quarterback was he was sub 50% I mean, I would like to see a couple picks or something, just a couple ball hawks there. But I mean, that's nitpicking. I mean, they dominated the line of scrimmage, didn't give up any huge plays. Yeah, I mean, I'm pretty content. I would have liked to seen the special teams touchdown, the defensive touchdown, so I could have won some money. But other than that, I think I'm pretty content.
I would have liked to see Isaiah Satania featured more offensively. Obviously, got to see him the long punt return touchdown that gets called back. He had a nice kick return to start the game, and it turned out to be his only kick return opportunity of the game. And he had the big, I think it was like a 34, 35-yard reception, and then he had another one called back. I guess I just expected him to be more of a feature in the offense. And of course, they played so many guys. I'm sure they're not worried about him. Like they were going to get as many guys in. Didn't feel the need to like force feed him or anything. But I really feel like I thought with Andrew Armstrong out, I was like, man, they might get him 7-8 touches even in the first half and really get him going. And I noticed him open on a few plays, like the play that Jordan Anthony dropped the pass. He was open underneath Jordan Anthony. I was like, give him a chance to run. But yeah, I think Isaiah Satania, that was like my only thing where I was like, I kind of wanted to see him featured a little bit more offensively. They've got to get him going as a receiver. Like he's not a gadget player. He's not just a return specialist. He's one of the best receivers on the team, in my opinion. I feel like we'll see how, I'm sure he'll get his chances, but I would have liked to see more Satania, frankly.
Yeah. And part of this is very much because of the score and everything. We talked about 28 completions to 14 different pass catchers, which is good. I mean, spreading the wealth, whatever. And I think it was 9 on 18 completions in the first half. Maybe I wrote that down in my notes. I have to go back and look, but at the end of the day, like without Andrew Armstrong, I still don't, part of this is it's cool that you feel like you can throw it to a bunch of guys against UAPB, but I still don't know who the hell their receivers are. Like I didn't walk away from this going, oh yeah, Broden is going to be that dude. Same thing with Satania. Like, oh yeah, they're going to be getting him the rock a ton. And again, like that's just nitpicking, but I would have liked to have seen at least one guy, maybe, especially early on when Taylor Green was kind of going through it. It seemed like he was trying to target Broden there a few times, but their chemistry was off. And you could argue that maybe there was a drop or two in there, but for the most part, he was kind of throwing behind and low. Like if you put it on the numbers, you would think those are catches, but I think Andrew Armstrong is really going to be that security blanket. And without him out there, I was just kind of like, who's really the dude? I don't see much separation, I guess.
So honestly, I just don't want the first field goal that Arkansas has to take being on the road against Oklahoma State. I know, again.
Well, it will be.
But yeah, that's what I'm saying. That's why I was like, I know it's nitpicking and everything, but I wish because I mean, if you're a kicker, do you really want like your first field goal to be on the road in a hostile environment that you've ever kicked, like at Arkansas? And what if it comes in a crucial situation? I don't know. I'm just like, I would have liked to have seen that a little bit, but extra points were good. I mean, those were pretty solid. They looked pretty good. So, and punting, we didn't get to see that, but again, beggars can't be choosers there. All right.
I wish they would have punted, man.
Yeah. Yeah. I wish they would have too, just to see how the long snap was, that's because they had to change long snappers. So we're going to see just how much better, not Eli Stein would have been, but I guess we'll just have to wait. We're just going to have to wait for another week and a half until that happens. So before we get to your chats, folks, just a quick reminder that for those of you who are going to be in town and hanging out, we're going to be doing a live stream over at the Leroy Lounge on Dixon Street next Wednesday night. We're really pumped about this. And we are going to be, it's just for Wednesday night next week, but every Monday night during football season, we are going to be live at the Leroy starting at 6:00. We're going to be live stream. We're still going to be doing Inside Arkansas Live at noon, but we're just going to be doing a live stream, talking more, hearing from coaches and having some special guests there and hanging out and just having a good old time. So if you're in town, come and hang out. It's going to be awesome. And we really appreciate their partnership and really appreciate them. And can't wait to have some fun. And they got all different types of like duck pin bowling and like golf simulators, football simulators, baseball simulators. They got it all. Yes, darts, big darts. And
beer and good food.
Yes. And cold beer even. Yeah, the beer's cold. So yeah, can't go wrong with that. So come on out and see us. We'll be out there again on Wednesday. Starting at 6. All right. Well, there's a lot of chats that we got to get into here, guys. We're going to try. But shout out to William Varner for the courteous donation. 2 donations, actually. Thank you. Yeah, didn't have a sponsored comment for his first one, but this one he says, love the show. Beers say hose by 50, even though I think he meant hogs, but we'll
Oh,
let
yeah.
I think he meant hose.
That's true. Yeah. HOHS, hose. They're still going to stay, but no, we appreciate it for sure. Lathan's kind of coming in about saying, great game tonight, but Taylor's QB play at the start was sus. He can't play like that moving forward. His first 3 drives could have went ugly against an SEC defense, which is pretty much
100%.
By the way, not enough people are giving me credit for literally calling the first play of the game. I was like, play action, deep shot, guy's going to be open and he's going to miss it. I said it would have been Satania, but I mean, geez, that was money.
It makes me wonder. You think the UAPB guys, when they heard that Taylor Green knew what the play that they were running? Because if it's just a simple run, I don't know. I feel like they're probably like, hey, they're probably going to pass it deep. So let's do that prevent defense.
Well, they didn't have it covered. I feel like Broden had the step, man. I feel like it wouldn't have mattered. But I wonder if Taylor watched our show and was like, "This would be funny."
Yeah,
I hope that's what happened.
Yeah, I'm sure that's exactly what happened.
I'm sure. Yeah,
totally. But see, also, this comes from Travis. He's like, did anyone notice the UAPB coach did not come to shake hands, or did I just miss it? Not really a big deal either way, but I know Sam is a people pleaser. I feel like that would bother him. Like, I don't know. The handshake stuff, I'm kind of like over, whatever. Like, if he did, he did. If he didn't, he didn't. Who cares? He just got beat.
He just wanted to be safe.
Yeah. 6 feet of distance. Understandable. Nick says, why we haven't talked about Nico on the D line this year yet?
Well, it's game 1, buddy. And also, I gave him player of the game in my story, which you can read on InsideArkansas.com. I gave him defensive player of the game, Captain Nico. And we talked about him in the open. Like,
I brought him up unprompted like 5 minutes ago. Yeah.
How much sooner could we have given him his props? I don't know. I don't know what we were supposed to do.
Should just name the stream Nico. Just Nico dominates, and then
we've also been talking about him like leading up to the season a good bit, like that battle with him and June Kaj. He's one of those guys we kind of expect to take that next step on the defensive line. And so, yeah, very encouraged by Nico's performance. But, sir, I do not know how we could have given him his props sooner than we have given him.
No.
We did. We hit on Ramsey beating Shipley in the kicker battle. Nico got the nod over June Kaj. They both played a lot. To pick TJ Metcalf, got the start over Hudson Clark. I saw Sonny in the chat was saying, is Mr. No Fly Zone in there at all? Yeah, no, he played a lot. I think it was the 3rd series when he came in, but no, TJ supplanted him. Cuddy Robinson got the start at corner.
Yeah. And I guess I was trying to find the comment you were referring to. Because Zach was saying, why was Mr. No Fly Zone out there today? I didn't see him. You know why? Because they're having to save him and make sure he's healthy for Oklahoma State. That's why. They didn't want to show too much and have him get out there and get hurt because he's crucial. All right, that's why. And
I'll tell you, if we're ranking the most fraudulent oars on the team, turned out the long snapper oar was legit, the kicker oar was legit, the defensive end one was pretty legit too. The corner one I'm calling BS on because it said Marquise Robinson or Jaheim Singletary or Keon Stewart. And I don't think Keon Stewart got out there late, like eventually.
I saw him late. Yeah.
Yeah, it was late, but he was not like mixing. I think it's a 2-man race over there. And then running back, Rashad Dubinion, who, by the way, I saw some people being like, hey, Rashad Dubinion, RB4. That was kind of predicted before the game. Sam said, like, hey, we might get him in there. Him and Armstrong, the terminology he used was they might play, but they might not start. And so it kind of worked out pretty ideally where they're able to get R-Dub in there. But yeah, I think Jaquinton Jackson's RB1, right?
Jaquinton Jackson's RB1 for sure. I have no idea why they put Rashad Dubinion in that game. I don't know why they did that. Like, if you don't
like,
feel
this is a safe
using
environment, he's not going to get hit too hard on this one. We'll just
you got a guy who hasn't been practicing. He's not 100%. He's banged up. So let's just throw him out there in a 56-0 game in the 3rd quarter. That doesn't mean a damn thing. I found that really, really odd. Like, I'm glad. I guess he felt good enough to get some carries or something, but that just seemed like it was not worth it to me.
I wonder if he was just talking in their ear and was like, "Let me get in, let me get in, let me get in." I feel great. I feel great.
Yeah, could have been.
Yeah,
I would have been like, nah, fam. Wait for Stillwater, man. I don't know, but
yeah, no, I was with you too, Curtis, because I was like, maybe just because he needed extra reps. I don't know. I really don't know. But we're gonna have the post game press conference posted on our YouTube page and Inside Arkansas here shortly. So as soon as we get done here, so we'll be able to. Maybe Sam Pittman was asked about it. We can find out more there. I did like this from Eureka Streams. We talk about Jaquinton Jackson, seeing him wave to the UAPB cheerleaders after his score. The man does not lack confidence. I will say that. And you know what? Yeah, and you know what? He shouldn't, because he's really good, and he runs with that confidence too. So yeah, that was a pretty funny moment. Megan also says, love to see Travis Williams, Marcus Woodson go crazy when Shaw had a good tackle. That was pretty cool. Really like that. Ice Cold Mint Julep also with a charitable sponsored comment here.
Thank you.
Appreciate you. It says, the vaunted and ranked Misery did not perform well against a comparable cupcake. Take all the positives you can get.
A brutal beat in the Missouri game. As someone who had Murray State plus 49.5, 48. So Missouri gets up 28-0 in the first quarter. So you're like, oh, they're going to beat them by 60. Then it slowed down, and it was 48-0 with like 2 minutes left. And Missouri just like goes on a legitimate drive, gets inside the 20 and kicks a field goal with like 20 seconds left to make it 51-0. Absolutely brutal beat from Drink.
That's lame. That is lame.
He's the worst. 51-0, by the way. Missouri ended up beating McNeese State, or Murray State. Also, a few other things too. Bobby D says some receiver did drop his passes. Yep, as we mentioned.
There was the one drop. Was there that many drops?
There was, man. Like there were. If there would have been throws that were on time and on point, they would have been caught. I think there's an argument could be made for some of those early, but they were like way behind a guy who's running full speed in another direction kind of deals. But it's like, if it hits you in the hands, you should catch it kind of thing. So sure. But they weren't good throws.
I thought, the Jordan Anthony one, I feel like you can classify that as a drop. That definitely wasn't a good throw. Like kind of both guys get the blame there. But the one to Broden, I felt like that was like tipped and, thrown into traffic and all that. I don't know if I'm counting that as a drop, really.
Yeah. I think I only counted 2. I could be wrong, but I know one for sure. We all know the one for sure that was dropped. But also, I wanted to bring this up real quick because he said, Bobby D says Connor Stallions is at War Memorial. I'm glad he brought this up because I'm not kidding. There was a guy that I saw wearing a Michigan Wolverine polo shirt just walking around. And I was like, is he Michigan fan, or maybe he's just trying to be funny because he's Connor Stallions and people are going to ask him, because he actually did kind of look like Connor Stallions.
Did he look like Brandon Marcello? Because Connor Stallions low-key looks like Brandon Marcello a little bit.
A little bit, yeah. He did have a beard, but I think he had a little bit more hair than our guy Brandon. But
by the way, that documentary, I watched it last night. Freaking tremendous, dude. I really enjoyed it.
Yeah.
Was it good? I haven't seen it yet.
It's worth it. It's worth the time. It's like an hour and 20 minutes. And as a former message board employee, Curtis, you'll appreciate it.
Okay.
The message boards get like a prominent role in this.
I love that.
Let's see. Also, Nick says Scott Fountain has been a sorry special teams coach for us. I also honestly don't know how he has a job. Cam Little has saved him, but special teams have been sorry for years. Okay, I'm gonna kind of call this out a little bit. Listen, I'm not saying he's a great special teams coach, but I also think that because of the start of certain seasons, especially like in 2020 and 2021, he's not horrible. Like he's had mistakes, and I'm not trying to say he's perfect, but I also don't think that he's as bad as what people try to make him out to be.
Is this a bit here?
Yeah.
Or is this serious?
Serious.
Did something happen that I
guess
the Jaden Johnson push was like the Scott Fountain. We're blaming him for that.
Yeah, get that bastard Fountain out of here. If that, I mean, I don't know.
He's coming off of his best year as an Arkansas special teams coach, I would argue. Arkansas special teams units were really good last year, all of them. They were like top 10 in kickoff coverage. They were top 10 in field goals, top 10 in punts. And like, you can say Cam Little gets credit for that, like whatever, 100%. But I don't know. I feel like now is a weird time to be doing the Scott Fountain bit. And I've been a Scott Fountain hater for a long time. But I don't know if like right now is a weird time to do it.
Yeah. Yeah, especially
a joke.
Yeah, I'm hoping.
I don't know.
Yeah, we need a sarcasm
either
font.
that or it was a generalization of like the
5
years here or whatever. Maybe.
By the way, I just want to touch on it because I keep seeing comments about it. Andrew Armstrong did not play in this game. He was not necessarily expected to play much, if at all. He and Broden have been kind of in and out of practice. Seemed precautionary, but I've seen like a bunch of comments about it. So I thought we'd just go ahead and throw it out there, even though we've referenced it a few times. Just
to clarify, so the only players that did not play was that, again, not saying we're expecting, was Andrew Armstrong and Patrick Kudus, right? Those were the only two?
Yeah, I think.
Yeah.
Okay. I just wanted to make sure because I think that's all it was. But, when you get a depth chart that says one thing and then you find out that a lot of those guys are dealing with injury and another, it's hard to keep up these days. So, Also, again, we don't know what's bits and not, but this guy, Gray guy, says these one-sided scrimmages need to stop. They're not good for either team. Period. Well, what do you like? What do you want? Like, what do you want to happen here?
He wants UAPB to not fund their athletic department because that's what these games do. Like, you get your ass kicked, you get $1 million. Like, it's a pretty good trade-off that both teams shake hands on and they agree to. Who is this bad for?
I don't understand. Yeah, I don't understand
Who's
that.
complaining about this? Like, frankly,
I don't know. I mean, in a way, I kind of agree. I'm not gonna lie. I mean, what was the point in that, really? Aside from feeling good at 10:30 on a Thursday night.
Yeah.
Would Arkansas get better from that, or just playing another spring game against each other? You know, like you get a dub on the board or whatever, but like, I don't know.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
I really think
did
UAPB
get
benefits
better?
more than Arkansas here.
I mean, they get money. Did they get better?
Money matters, dude.
They got demoralized.
Yeah. Well, I know, and I agree to that extent, but I'm also like, you don't know. Like, none of us expected UAPB to get smoked like that. Like, I mean, you know, you never know until the game's over. But if Arkansas only won 49-20, then, you know, it could have been something that you could have taken and gotten. I don't know. It's just
this particular FCS team is a really bad one. But there were plenty of FCS teams that like fared pretty well tonight. Like Western Carolina, actually, who Arkansas beat pretty handily last year. Like they forced NC State to like dig deep in their bag. Colorado went toe-to-toe with North Dakota State, who's obviously a huge power. And so, like, Arkansas just happens to live in a state with one of the worst FCS teams. But for the most part, like, these FCS games are not all like this. It's not like just an immediate slaughtering every single time.
Yeah. Also, shout out, Curtis, to your Lindenwood team over there playing Kansas. How does that happen? How does Lindenwood's schedule get settled with Kansas?
Division I football team. They are Kansas's UAPB.
Yeah. I guess. Yeah. I when I saw that, I was like, wait a minute. That's Curtis's Linden.
They covered the spread, didn't they?
They did.
What was the final? Hell yeah.
Yep.
Let's go, boys.
Yep. Hey,
Lions. Hashtag one roar.
Is that really what the hashtag is, or is that the thing?
It used to be. I don't know if it still is.
Well, it is now. We're making it if that's the case. Let's see. Other comments that Charles is over here saying, one thing we can agree on, they weren't looking past UAPB.
Yeah.
That is true. That is true. Someone else, great name, says, are we more comfortable with the offensive line or wait and see?
I'm waiting and see.
Yeah.
Both in a weird way. Like we feel better about them after kind of like a nice performance, but definitely still got a lot to wait and still got a lot to see.
Mm-hmm. Well, to me, it's like, yeah, I feel better because the thing we compare to was last year where they literally could not move the ball against anyone ever. And so, yeah, I feel better about it than I did a year ago. But do I feel it's good enough right now to go into the SEC and dominate or to do what they've done? No, I still got to see a lot more from them.
There's a lot of space between where they were last year and a good SEC offensive line. I imagine they're going to fall somewhere in between. We'll find out where, but yeah, I feel slightly better.
There's a lot of space between UAPB's defensive line and anyone else's that Arkansas will face this season. That includes UAB, that includes Louisiana Tech.
Yeah.
So like they're just very bad. Very bad.
Yep. And I hate to see it. I hate to say it, but it's true. They're really bad. Also, yeah, this one I want to bring up that Tanner's like the Tesla one-handed catch was absolutely nuts. Yeah. Wasn't that the whole thing that they always said? He catches everything. He catches everything. Well, he definitely caught that.
That's what we were seeing in camp when we were hyping him up last year. Then everybody got pissed at us when he didn't do anything during the season. He was doing that every day at camp to somebody.
He's one of those guys, like, I think Tesla is like overqualified for any level below like the SEC, but he's not like quite like good enough to be like an SEC go-to guy or anything like that.
Right.
But he like I mean, last year in War Memorial, he went off like against FCS, like low-level D1 teams, dominant. And he made another like catch in traffic near like in the red zone that I was pretty impressed with. Like, you know, nice stuff from Tesla, but yeah.
Yes, he did.
I'm not gonna get too excited about this one again.
No, I'm not gonna. Again, there's things you can be happy about, but there's also things where it's like just consider the opponent and consider everything. Just need to see more of it. But it was good to see him get involved and make some big time catches. Also, it's going down. Says Gunslinger literally brought in former D1 players no eligibility to play for UAPB with fake names. It was a bold move. They got the death penalty for it, but bold nonetheless. Yeah, because I think that was a thing, that something like that happened where they are trying to get back from they basically did get the death penalty and are having to come back. I don't know what that has to do with today or to this now, but
They Bishop Sycamore did over there. Is that what happened?
man, that was a
Speaking of good documentaries.
Yeah. No, I was more talking about you, Curtis, is saying that school name and putting the ED at the end of it. That was impressive. I'm coming out here with crispiness, and you're out here like making good, like
Bishop Sycamore.
Yeah, Bishop Sycamore. And
by the way, how about that UAPB offensive coordinator where they were like, before he got into coaching, he was working for NASA, and then he got bored there and was like, "Let me get into coaching." What the hell is that? I did not know that was a thing.
It's impressive.
I don't know.
I was like, I'm wasting my talents here at NASA. I need to go coach football.
I don't know. That kind of worries me. I'm not saying it's this guy, but it's like when I first hear that, I'm like, that sounds like a guy that like got fired and was probably having some really bad things happen. He'd be like, you know what? NASA's just not for me, actually. I'm going to get into coaching. It's like, I'm not saying that was the case, but that was the first thing I heard of. I'm like, I don't know. Do you really just go from NASA to like building rocket ships to be like, you know what? I want to go out there and coach some college football, do some recruiting. Just doesn't seem to fit. Doesn't seem to stick there.
That's kind of crazy.
Yeah, very crazy. Shout out to JD for the charitable.
Thank you, man. Appreciate y'all.
Comment. Yeah, y'all are awesome. We appreciate that.
No comment either. He's just like, here's my money.
Yeah.
Don't worry about anything else. But we appreciate you, man.
His sponsored comment is his name. That's what he.
We will remember you.
Yes, we will. Yes, we will. There was another comment that I was going to bring up. Actually, I put these so I didn't have any signal in my phone, and I wanted to bring these up, kind of funny things. And again, we'll talk about some chats and other things too, I'm sure. But we had an announcement there at War Memorial Stadium where it was John George on the call on the PA, and he was asking Devin, was it for the X-ray technician? Yes. He was like, this is in the middle of the game, like in a commercial break. He's like, would the X-ray technician please make their way to the front, whatever. It's like, yes, please. The X-ray technician, please make your way. And I'm like, what, was he in the beer line? Was he like sitting there? He's like, oh no, like the X-ray technician had to be called out. Be like, hey, we need you over here. It was very strange. Like
that is really weird.
Yes.
I don't know.
I was like, that guy. Just the fact you had to have the PA people call or John George call him over the PA has got to be pretty embarrassing. But
guy was 3 beers deep, about to get a hot dog, and he's like, "Damn it!"
Yeah, I know. That's what I'm saying. He's just in the line waiting, and they're like, "Hey, George, he's calling you." Oh crap! Let me run over there. So, anyways, that was very strange. There also was a what do you call it with the control, like the helicopter, or not the helicopter, but like the little drone. Thank you. There was a drone flying over, and they almost had to stop the game because of it, so that was problematic.
It came from Stillwater, I heard.
Oh,
they were worried about what's coming for him.
Yep.
You think Connor Stallions is on the OSU staff, and that's why he was there?
He's like a special advisor kind of role.
There in Central Michigan, I think, are the two that he's been helping out.
Oh man, that would you know what? If that guy that was wearing the Michigan shirt was actually flying that, then that's too much. That's too much to go through. Also, shout out Steve Mills. Wow. Charitable donation.
Appreciate you, Steve.
Yeah, hell yeah, man.
Yeah, listen, we love all y'all, and we appreciate that.
Can I just need to ask a quick question. It's just going to require a yes or no from Andrew. The NASA thing true? Like they really said that?
They really said it. I don't know if it's true. I'm not.
I don't know where that was really a thing.
Definitely said that.
The more I thought about it, because I wasn't necessarily listening to it all, I was like, is he just messing with us right now?
No, they 100% said that on the broadcast. Now the broadcast very unreliable. I will say this: they got a lot of stuff wrong. They also they messed up some names. What was they kept calling him Haas?
Yeah,
Haas, which like I'm fine with because I used to call him Luke Haas before I like heard his name. But yeah, I just no disrespect, but
I heard a lot of mistakes in the pregame show today. Taylor Green, Jalen Green.
Yeah, close enough.
Shout out to the guy who does the pictures for the USA Today. I'm not gonna say his name, but Curtis, you know the guy's name, and John, I'm sure you do too.
Yeah,
he had Taylor Green for all of the Taylor Green pictures. He also had for Jaquinton Jackson's rushing touchdown. I can't remember what player it was. It was like Reed Bauer or something like that. He had someone like completely random tagged. And I was like, that is not who that is. But
first game, not familiar with the roster situation right there. That's numbers and everything.
Oh man, that's awesome. Well, and again, another thing, John George messed up, and you guys will get kicked out of this. When Arkansas made a tackle, Devin, my buddy Devin's pissed because he hates this stuff. But when on special teams and the kickoff, when Arkansas kicked it off, forgot it was number 19 that made the tackle. I don't remember who it was, but John. Yes, that's right. That's right. And then John George on the PA goes, tackled by Austin Ledbetter, and it's like. Everyone's like, oh, what? Austin Ledbetter's in? It's like, yep, they put him in on kickoff.
Stat broadcast gave Danico Slaughter a rushing touchdown when Malachi Singleton found the end zone, but they corrected it pretty quickly.
Oh, jeez.
Buddy,
for everyone.
I'm the only one with the background, my guy. Do you want my spare bed in the background or a couch in the background? I'm the only one with the background. What do you mean? I'm just messing with you.
He wants you to have Star Wars posters in your room. That's what he wants.
Do I need to go to the bathroom? That way we've got every possible place in a house covered here. What are we doing?
Hey, and this is a recliner, all right? It's not even a couch. All right.
Dang, man.
Yeah.
By the way, I want to issue a correction. It was not Reed Bauer. It was Zach Williams, a 6-year defensive lineman who they had tagged for Jaquinton Jackson.
Zach Williams. Okay.
I don't know how that happened because it's not even the same number or anything.
Hey, listen, it's first game, first game.
Hey, it's week 1 for everyone.
That's right.
I did see Ledbetter on the sidelines at one point and almost text both of you guys, just say, hey, he's here.
Thought he was getting in for a second there. I mean,
I know.
Dude, if it wouldn't have been 10-minute quarters, he might have had a chance.
That's what I'm saying. If he was ever going to get into a single game, which I hope he does one day, but I just don't see it. But if he was ever going to get into a game, this was going to be the one that
he's going to start the Louisiana Tech game and honor Connor Nolan's tradition and get that win while Kelly Bryant is in attendance on his visit. It's going to be, we're going to rewrite history completely the right way.
Kelly Bryant, man.
Because that Tulsa shutout game was the Kelly Bryant game, I'm pretty sure, where it was like, oh.
Man, yeah. And Kelly Bryant, he did the right thing. He did the right thing by not going to Arkansas there. Also, Stravius Week says, well, John does look too comfortable, honestly. My man, listen, what I had to deal with at that stadium and place all day today in that heat, let me be comfortable. All right. That was rough out there. And I never realized how much like people smoke cigars on the like on the golf course and everything. And like that was bad. Also, okay, sorry, we got to bring this up. The bus getting stolen. Can we talk about this? Like, for those of you may not know, it was reported that one of the buses that the U of A used in their travel, I guess, was stolen, and it was part of a high-speed chase, and they ended up finding the bus like out on an abandoned railroad, just stripped. Like, what in the world? Like, I don't want to say it, but I know what everyone's thinking.
Yeah, I'm not going to say it either, but we all know.
We don't know. We don't know. Yeah.
I got to give you credit too, John, by the way, because nobody saw you the way I saw you before this show started. When you just got back and you're all frustrated from the heat, trying to get in a meal before we started this show. I was worried about you. You've recovered well. I'll give you credit.
Thank you. Well, I'm more of like when I get the face going once we get the stream going, but no, I'm serious. Like it ended up being okay. I'm not trying to complain too much, but like, dude, we got out there about 3:00. It was bad. It was really, really bad. And shout out to everybody that was out there. There were people actually tailgating for the most part out there the whole time. So, yeah, there's just all of that going on. But anyways, it was great. It was great. Everyone's in the chat saying things that we don't have to say. So,
dude, nobody has just a normal opinion on Little Rock. They either like Little Rock is the best city I've ever even seen, and then War Memorial is the best stadium I've ever seen, or they're like Little Rock, what a dump.
Yeah, why can't it just be fine? Like
it's just a place that we all have to go to every now and then. That's what it is.
Yes. And people are asking about if it's true that the bus got stolen. I mean, that's what Twitter said, and Twitter's never lied.
Yeah,
so,
never.
But there actually was, because we even checked that they had. They showed a video of the bus that they found out on the railroad, and then we saw that picture, and then we tried to match it with the buses that they arrived with at the stadium, and they were the exact same. So, yeah, pretty wild stuff. Pretty wild stuff.
Crazy, man.
I know it because it's again, it doesn't matter. Play the game, but like, who's just sitting there being like, "Oh man, yeah, I'm gonna steal one of those buses." And like, is there somebody, I guess, on the market that's like looking for stolen buses? And do you get a lot of money for them? I don't know. It's just one of those things I'd like to know from the criminal of like what went through your head and why. Why you do that? I don't know.
Yeah.
Jeez, everyone's comments there.
Yeah, the comment section is getting after it tonight, man.
Yeah, they are. It's almost like they've been drinking all day or something, watching a game.
As they should have been, man.
Mm-hmm. Stravius Wig is asking if it's my Sunkist or is that a different shade of foundation? This is sweat from my balls all over my body. How about that? Does that work for you?
Wait. Never mind.
Yeah. Don't worry, it's my own balls. Don't worry, it's fine. Yeah, now everybody's just getting in an argument about the grades team debate, which I don't care about. Let's see. Real quick, couple things. Scores from other places in college football. Kind of mentioned a few of them. Missouri wins 51-0. Kansas struggles with Lindenwood, the Fighting Curtis Wilkersons, 48-3, but they do take care of business. NC State does struggle a little bit with Western Carolina, but wins 38-21. Utah beats Southern Utah, or is beating Southern Utah 42-0. And how about the old Colorado and Coach Prime having a little bit of a scare there, fellas? It's almost like
there was a Hail Mary. North Dakota State, the final play of the game was a completed pass to the 5-yard line where like they threw a Hail Mary and caught it, but it wasn't quite there. But like, yeah, it was a scare.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm fine with it though. I don't care about Colorado one way or the other. Minnesota and North Carolina are in a bout. It's 14-13 Minnesota, the Golden Gophers.
Oh, which by the way, well, first of all, Minnesota's star running back or whatever is not playing. But then I didn't know Max Johnson was at North Carolina now, but he's also not because he just broke his leg.
Yeah, he broke the crap out of his leg, man. Shout out, that's a Bobby P product. He's been in college for so long.
I couldn't believe it when I saw that.
By the way, Jacoby Criswell's not their backup, so he's not going to be in now.
Damn, that's what I was getting ready to ask.
I think he's third string.
Dude, so he transferred from being the second. Was he the second string quarterback at Arkansas during the spring?
Last year he
was last season, but he was third string in the spring.
Okay. Yeah. So imagine being third string at Arkansas, transferring out and being third string at your next spot.
I think once he transferred this time, he was like, I'm just going to go have fun. And he probably enjoyed Chapel Hill and was like, I'm just going to, go have some, what's that chicken place that they have in Carolina?
Chicken place?
Is it chicken? You know what I'm talking about? There's like a chicken place on the East Coast that's huge.
You're talking about like Bojangles or something?
Bojangles.
Okay.
Oh.
Yeah. He missed Bojangles. He's like, I'm just going to get back out to the East Coast. Chapel Hill and Fayetteville, those are some good college towns right there. He's had a good college career.
They really are. I went to Chapel Hill a couple summers ago, and they were all freaking out because by the campus they were building a 2-story Raising Cane's, and I guess they just don't have Raising Cane's down there. It was like being constructed while we were there, and everybody was like going by taking pictures of it and stuff. Like, oh my god,
it's big Bojangles folks in the chat, man. They're going nuts on Bojangles.
Yeah. Apparently so. All the Bojangles people coming in.
I've never been.
I haven't either. Or at least if I have, I don't remember.
But isn't there one there's one close to here?
Yeah, it's like in a gas
Alma
station
or something. Yeah, I don't know. Anyway,
yeah, sounds right. Also, for you other, the Fighting Brett Bielema is also up with Illinois, beating Eastern Illinois, 38-0 there at the start of the fourth quarter. And Arkansas's opponent here in a couple weeks, UAB, is beating Alcorn State 31-3 in the early part of the fourth quarter. So a few college football games going on. Rutgers beat Howard. Wake Forest beat North Carolina A&T. How did KJ Jefferson do at UCF? I know he's struggling a little bit. Can we?
I think he kind of recovered. Okay, like they blew him out. Like they were way better than New Hampshire, but he started off like 1 of 9 or something like that. And last I checked, he was like 5 of 12 with a touchdown and a pick. But they ran the ball for like 400 yards, so it didn't really matter.
Well, it sounds about right.
He was getting fried though, because one of his first passes like should have been picked off, and he missed a wide open guy by like 10 yards. People on the internet were going nuts on him.
Well, anyways, I don't have anything else to say, guys. Do you have any other parting thoughts? It was a successful stream, and we appreciate it. But anything else?
70-0, man. 1-0 this week. That's it.
Want to know, as we guaranteed,
Mhm.
the journey continues.
They got it going on. Listen, Hogs by 70. They did do that. They did take care of business. So it's been great, though. It's been great to talk about. And again, we'll talk more tomorrow on Inside Arkansas Live, starting up at noon. We will do some more recapping, but also kind of look ahead, start planning ahead towards the Oklahoma State Cowboys and that game being played there in Stillwater. So have some fun there. We'll get to hear a little bit from Sam Pittman, some of the players and everything. So, yeah, we're going to keep it going, folks. We appreciate everybody for our first football Pod of That Nature post game. I'd say it was a successful one, to say the least. But
Good times.
Yeah, we're going to keep it moving, keep it going, folks, but appreciate each and every one of you. Be sure to subscribe to the Inside Arkansas YouTube channel, as well as check out InsideArkansas.com for all of our great written content that we're putting out each and every day. And hopefully, if we don't get to see you, but continue to have a great start to your Labor Day weekend by tuning into Inside Arkansas Live tomorrow. And also be sure to come hang out with us at the Leroy on Dixon Street the next Wednesday nights at 6 p.m. So, for Curtis Wilkerson, as well as Andrew Ellis, I am John Neighbors. Same sports show, same sports channel. Next week when they play Oklahoma State. But we'll see you then and see you tomorrow for Inside Arkansas Live.